Welcome to the iSpeak Fundy Biosphere series. We want to become more fluent when speaking about the Fundy Biosphere. In this series, we'll be covering everything from the sciences of ecology and forestry to climate action and even hiking, exploring, and tourism. Join us as together we learn how truly special the Fundy Biosphere is. Welcome to the Fundy Biosphere iSpeak podcast. I'm Ben Cummings, and today I have with me an artist that I met last fall, actually. I think it was in Florenceville, wasn't it, Colin?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So this is Colin Fowlie, a musician and artist who is actually fantastic. Hopefully you can, I can share some of your stuff on the Fundy Biosphere page, but why don't you just tell me a little bit about yourself and about your journey as a musician?
Sure. So, I started studying music when I was a kid. My parents put me in piano lessons and voice lessons and choirs and that sort of thing. And I started learning guitar on my own in my early teen years. Like I was right around 13 when my grandmother started teaching me some guitar. I finally got my own a couple of years later. And, I got to the point where I could strum and play songs and sing. And at the time, I was more serious about studying jazz. And when I came out of high school, I had to make the decision as to whether or not I was going to study music or I wound up actually studying engineering. So I'll spare you the details of how that decision came to be, and it's there's still some emotional pain that I don't need to process right now. I'm just kidding, but anyway, so I had a previous career and started doing music as a hobby about 10 years ago, and then started writing my own songs and recording a few things just at home using like GarageBand. And then the hobby started getting more and more serious, and I recorded my debut full-length album, which was called Party Music, and I was still working a day job at the time. And I decided, it was just that I was at that point in my life where I wanted to make a change, and music was going pretty well. So I decided to leave the other career and pursue this full time in late 2018. So my timing wasn't the best when it came to, touring for a year and then things getting shut down. But the year of COVID, I was able to record my second album. We weren't under a time crunch, because of the circumstances and everybody being grounded. I was able to work with an amazing team of people to put it together. And I spent a lot of time in isolation, just working on my own musicianship, making up for those years that I wasn't focused on music, so that when opportunities present themselves, I have the polish of somebody that's been doing this professionally for a lot longer than I have, and that's kind of been my focus. And just every day trying to improve some aspect of what I do as an artist, from playing the guitar to the songwriting and the time and care I put into editing and lyrics and melody. And my singing voice was always fairly strong when it came, just because of the training early on, which has served me well. But, trying to find the character in my voice and, how best to approach singing the style of music that I do, which is really, roots based. It's if country music hadn't evolved into what it is commercially today, it would be considered country music. But I guess, call it alt country, singer songwriter, what have you. It's all made with real instruments and, people playing them imperfectly like humans, but to the best of our ability. And I think that the songs are there's always some personal aspect in them. All the songs come from something. None of them are just throwing lyrics on a page in order to have something to sing. So I try and at least be authentic with what I do, for better or worse.
And that's what I really like about a lot of your stuff and the things that I hear coming from you, is that it is that natural sort of singer-songwriter, even folk almost, you could say, because it's really honest and storytelling, which is something as a video producer that I like to do as well. But actually, the reason that we've got you on today is because of the Rising Tides Festival that is coming up August 7th to 15th, I believe it is. So you're performing there on the 8th.
Yes, so I'm performing on it's Sunday the 8th at the Albert County Museum, and I believe There is a couple others on the bill. I know Tomato Tomato is there as well, and I forget the third act that was part of that event. And to that person, I apologize. I'll apologize profusely when I meet them in person, having not remembered on this podcast. But Tomato Tomato are good friends of mine. They're an incredible husband-wife duo. Again, you could call that folk and alt country as well as what I do, but very very different vibes.
Yeah.
Um, they have a very happy, upbeat energy, and a lot of my songs are like super depressing and talk about the darker parts of the human condition. So it's a nice yin yang that we have going on with that lineup. I'm really looking forward to it, and anytime I get to spend some time with John and Lisa is that's always a good time. So.
Well, and it's really nice. There's going to be so much going on that week, and I don't know how much you know about outside of what you'll be performing, but for a lot of artists, really, they've been on pause for the last year. And this, for me at least, is one of the first things coming back, the first events or big festivals being put on. And what has it meant for the last year? I guess you've been producing an album, but really, what does it feel like getting back into the music scene, playing live music again?
It feels really good because we're fortunate in New Brunswick to be a little more spread out than other areas. We weren't completely shut down for that entire year, so I had a few one-off performances here and there, which is how we met. At a reduced capacity venue, Second Wind Music Center up in Florenceville, which is a beautiful room, and instead of doing one big show, they split the audience into two, and they did an early and a late show. And I've had a few of those smaller type events happen throughout the year, including like the album launch we did at the Fredericton Playhouse, but there was a cap of it was less than 200 seats that we could put in there, and which we had to reschedule a couple of times due to COVID concerns, and it was a challenge. So it means a lot, and to have people coming out and seeing live music again, to be able to perform it, to be able to really connect with people has been amazing. A lot of artists, myself included, we've tried to be resourceful in how to reach people during this time, and a lot of it's been social media, posting content on the internet. I've found a growing audience of dedicated fans through TikTok, and that algorithm is good for showing you to people that might like you that haven't heard of you. So it's been a really useful tool in connecting with people. But that's ultimately why I write music is for that connection, and there's no replacement for doing that live in front of real life human beings, and I don't think there ever will be. So it means everything to be able to get back to it, and I'm excited because I had a lot of time off. There hasn't been a lot of benchmarks along the way, but I feel that my live performance now is stronger than it was before, and it was something that I was really proud of before the pandemic. So I'm pumped to be able to get out there and share, and then just connect with people again, and hopefully get some good feedback on what I've been working on during this time away.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And actually, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I've seen a lot of your stuff. We haven't really spoken since we met back in November a lot. We've been back and forth a little bit, but I've seen a lot of your stuff on TikTok in passing. And it seems that is such a great platform that even us at the Fundy Biosphere, we haven't really jumped on yet, because a lot of our people seem to be Facebook and Instagram, but we're working our way there. And I think for any artist or for anybody that is looking to grow an audience, over on TikTok is huge. But what do you feel? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that some of the other, namely Facebook and Instagram. So I had worked on growing a fairly decent Facebook following, because I had a lot of followers there, and that's still the best for having events and trying to coordinate and organize people. But it's such a crowded bit of airspace, and became even more so during the pandemic with everyone online and trying to be heard, that a lot of the techniques and tactics that you would use to reach people don't work anymore, and it's been highly monetized. So to be able to organically grow an audience is nearly impossible, because of the corporatization of Facebook, and Instagram is owned by Facebook. So if you're not putting money into their system, then your reach is going to be limited. And my fear is that TikTok will eventually go in that same direction, but it's not there yet. And I hope that we can always find a platform for connecting organically with new listeners. That's important. And I mean, that's what you miss not being able to tour.
Yeah.
So I'd go out and hit the road, and if I go to a town I've never been before, I'm not expecting to play for a sold out room of hundreds, but being able to play to 10 or 20 people that are actively engaged and listening in your music to your music, that's important. And there's a saying that in order to have a sustainable music career, you really only need 1,000 fans that are willing to spend some money on you, on your music, on your merch, on concert tickets through every year, throughout the run of a year, to be able to sustain yourself. And so you don't have to be selling out hockey arenas in order to be able to reach that platform. There's definitely a nice, comfortable middle ground to make a living as an artist, but you do have to be strategic about it. And touring is one way to do that. Right now, TikTok's providing an alternative to just pounding the pavement. And so I plan to always be supplementing what I do on the road with something online. I am competent with technology to a certain extent. I can record and edit videos and do all that. And also I have, a young family, so I don't want to be on the road 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
I don't mind being out, 2 or 3 months, but in between, there's still going to be lots of space to try and find other ways to connect with people. So technology was and always will be a big part of what I do, but there really is no replacement. Getting the energy to sing to your phone or sing to a camera,
Mm,
it's just not the same as having live people there, and you feed off their reaction, right? They respond emotionally to something you're doing. That's going to inform your performance. And yeah, there's I've done a few sessions over Zoom where you can see the people, but again, it's not quite the same atmosphere.
yeah, and I think that's extremely important for a lot of artists. I think even visual artists, that being able to go to art galleries again, and
Mm,
not in that reduced capacity, because like you say, I mean, I've performed for years as well, and it's something that you really miss the energy of the
mm,
people there. And I haven't performed on Zoom really yet, but I think it's something that will be important in coming years to be able to purvey and to be able to continue the culture, especially in New Brunswick, because we've got some
mm.
incredible artists here on the East Coast that really may get passed over or may not have that pay to play aspect through
Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram. So it's nice that we're getting back out there and able to have events again, hopefully that we can have a lot more. But I'm glad that the Rising Tides and you are getting out to a number of festivals. So I'm really
Mm,
excited to see what art can be put out there, and what
yeah.
artists can really be producing now that we've sort of had that time alone, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
and that we can get out and really experience New Brunswick again, whether it be outside or whether it be artists like yourself or people who are really great at their craft. And I'm really
Thank you.
excited to see
Yeah.
what's coming up next.
I think that something that if I can get this message into the ear of one person, then it's worth it. I think that there's a perception when it comes to the arts that there's sort of an equivalency to sports in that the biggest talent eventually finds its way onto the biggest stages. And music doesn't necessarily work like that. There's a lot of other things that go on in the music industry behind the scenes. So I'd encourage folks to go check out the smaller local venues. Even though you might prefer going to see, the big stage at Cavendish or Harvest or, one of those large festivals. Check out what's going on in your local venues, because I've seen artists that are every bit as good, are absolute world class, and they are playing the smaller venues just because of the way that the business works. And it's not completely a meritocracy. So you could find something, if you haven't seen Tomato before and you go to the Rising Tides Festival, they might very well become your new favorite artist, period.
Yeah.
And so again, it's different, and taking that chance helps local artists. It helps local venues, and I think that there are folks that would be surprised at what they're missing because they don't know. And yeah, take a chance. I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised
Yeah,
because
and
we have.
especially especially with the musical arts. It's huge in smaller venues because you're going to hear a lot better. The acoustics are going to be a lot different than, like you say, those outdoor festivals. And in a big amphitheater, it's going to sound completely different. And actually,
Yep.
shout out to Peter McLaughlin at Second Wind, where Colin and I actually met. That venue, and a lot of small venues around New Brunswick, around the Fundy Biosphere, I'm sure have struggled because of the reduced capacity this year.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I'll play a show in a venue like Second Winds 100 times out of 100 rather than go try and bang my head against the wall to play a gig in Toronto.
Yeah.
So our small towns kind of get this, what I'm saying already. They don't know who I am, and Florenceville will show up and I'll sell out 2 shows.
Yeah.
And the bigger cities that have some more content options might not be quite as open to just, there's live music, let's go see what that's about. But again, there's a lot of really, really great artists that are playing these small venues in our towns, and we're very fortunate. We have an incredible scene on the East Coast, and it's not necessarily always just the Aitken Center or that where you're going to find the cream of the crop.
Yeah, I think the cream of the crop is going to be at the Albert County Museum.
Well, hey, thanks.
Next week. Awesome, Colin. Thank you so very much. I know you got to run here shortly, but where can people, other than the 8th, what time does that show start?
That show is.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Just looking up. I think I'm on at 1:00 p.m. ish. Let me just confirm. Yeah. So 1:00, but the times are going to be a little bit flexible based on what's happening and the other events on the schedule. Albert County Museum, Sunday the 8th, 1:00 p.m. ish, and it's a suggested donation show. So you can go and scope it out before you decide if it's worth your money. So
yeah, for sure. And if you haven't heard Colin's stuff, check him out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Everything that he is doing is absolutely incredible. I've heard some of this stuff that he's putting out and going to be putting out, and you definitely want him to be on your top list. And the Rising Tide Festival, because there's going to be a lot going on, be it food and be it biking and beer, and there's going to be some incredible stuff. So if anybody listening or watching is keen on going to that festival from the 7th to the 15th, definitely check it out. But be sure to see Colin on the 8th. Colin, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, brother. We'll connect and do some collaboration here really soon.
Oh, I have no doubt. Thank you. For more information about the Fundy Biosphere or to contact us, you can find us on social media or visit us at fundy-biosphere.ca.